It is official. The NFL has finally slated the last week of the NFL season, and the 49ers and Rams are officially scheduled. If you didn't know, the 49ers and Rams game next week was TBD because the NFL wanted to make sure that they had the best possible games in their primetime slots. So now that they understand how the week has progressed and where these teams stand, they have gone and slotted these games accordingly. And this is where the 49ers and Rams will play this Sunday, according to the NFL. As you can see, these are the entire week's next Sunday's scheduled games. And the 49ers will play the Rams at Levi's Stadium at 1:25 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is when they will kick off. So the San Francisco 49ers face their divisional opponent and rival back at home as the last and final game of the year. Now, the question becomes, I think, for most fans, is what level of preparedness or competition do the 49ers provide in this one? And essentially, what I'm trying to say is, do they play their starters or do they rest their starters? Because as you guys know, the San Francisco 49ers clinched the number 1 seed. Shout out to the Cardinals for beating the Eagles today. So the 49ers are clinched, locked in, and ready to go for that 1 seed. So they will guaranteed get a first round bye. However, the Rams also clinched a playoff spot. And so what do the 49ers do in this scenario? And the question becomes, who do they play and who do they not play? And how do they go about this? So obviously, I could already see the comments lighting up. And if you haven't commented yet, I want to see what you think in the comments below. Should the San Francisco 49ers play their starters or should they rest their starters? This is going to be the conversation for the majority of the week. And primarily because we know they have a bye. There's nothing that can change really from the 49ers set of circumstances that affects them in the playoffs. Now, it'll affect the Rams in a sense, but the Rams are the Rams, right? So we're not worried about them right now and where they fall in the seeding and all that type of stuff. They're in the playoffs. They've made it. So they will be playing a wild card weekend. What the question is for the 49ers is, do they play CMC? Do they play Trent Williams? Do they play Fred Warner? Do they play their top guys at the positions, or do they give them some rest? Because I know, just like me, you guys are also worried about the health long term throughout the playoffs. However, I do think there is a scenario that exists where Kyle Shanahan doesn't rest a whole lot of players. Now, maybe CMC or guys who are dealing with things, but if you're healthy and you're good to go and you're a starter, there's a good chance that he actually might play them. Now, I could be completely wrong, but this is my gut feeling. And based on how I've heard Kyle Shanahan explain these scenarios before, he has firsthand experience witnessing his father get the 1 seed as a head coach, rest his guys the final week of the season, and then get boat raced by a wild card opponent in the divisional round. And when Kyle Shanahan was talking about it, he was basically saying, like, their team had 3 weeks off versus the team that came in and beat them was fighting, clawing, and scratching for their football lives. And by the time they made it to their team, they just weren't ready. They had like 3 weeks off. So I'm very interested to see what Kyle does here, because even if you listen to the locker room speech in which he gave, one of the things that he asked the guys was like, what do we do to get better? And they said practice. And to me, that was kind of like Kyle's like, yeah, we're not done yet. Seasons ain't over yet. So I don't know what they're going to do. But if I had to put some money on it, I would actually bet Kyle plays his starters, most of them. Because because of that story, and it's clearly stood with him and stuck out to him, and he talked about it a while ago about if he was ever to find himself in this scenario again. And this was way before like really the 1 seed was a primary thing for the 49ers this year. So I'm kind of the belief that we could see a lot of the starters against this game against the Rams. So I don't know. What say you? I want to hear from you in the comments below. I'm in the middle, man. Like I don't really know how to feel because I want to be healthy. I want to be fresh. I want to be ready to go. But on the other hand, I also know what Kyle's saying. 3 weeks off is a long time in the football world, especially in the middle of the season as you're getting ready to go face a team that you potentially could see in the playoffs. So I would much rather a scenario if he does play the starters, they beat the brakes off the Rams and they've got backups in by halftime. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Thankfully, it's not my job to decide. But however, you can pretend like it's your job to decide and let me know how you're feeling in the comments below. Should they start them? Should they rest the starters? What should they do moving forward? That is the $1,000,000 question. And Kyle Shanahan is going to have to answer it because that's a lot to weigh out. Injuries potentially, or not being locked in and fresh and get. That's why he gets paid the big bucks. So Kyle Shanahan's going to have to decide what he ultimately wants to do here. And it's going to be very interesting. But I want to hear from you. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.